We're watching KAPP 35 television in Yakima. This is the KAPP 35 News 530 report.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dana Cowley.
And I'm Dave Ettl. And topping our news tonight, one man is dead, another man injured after a knife fight earlier today in Yakima. The incident occurred shortly after 3 o'clock this afternoon at 1009 South 7th Street.
This confrontation took place between two black males in their mid-30s. That confrontation moved from 1009 to 1005 South 7th Street, where the police were called. One individual is en route to the hospital at this time. His condition is critical. The second individual is in custody and is on his way to the Yakima Police Department for official interviews and processing.
That first individual later died shortly after 4 o'clock. Yakima police will not release any names or ages. They have yet to notify the next of kin, and we will try and have more for you tonight on our 11 o'clock news.
The suspect authorities believe was responsible for the death of a 66-year-old White Swan man 2 days ago was in Yakima County Superior Court today. 19-year-old Howard Earl Loggins made a preliminary appearance in court on a burglary charge connected with the homicide. He's expected to be arraigned for the murder of Gerald D. Dittenholer next week. Authorities say the suspect entered the victim's home with the intent to burglarize the residence. But when Dittenholer confronted the suspect, a fight might have broken out, which resulted in his death. Dave?
Hurricane Hugo and the California quake have had a disastrous effect on the lives of many. People in those affected areas will spend a great deal of time rebuilding homes and businesses. Such rebuilding affects the Yakima region. KAPP 35's Mike Nordine reports that local plywood prices are up, and that affects the builder and all of us.
These logs are at the beginning of the plywood manufacturing process. After the bark is ripped off each log, they will be turned on a lathe that spins and cuts it into thin strips of construction-grade paneling. Those strips will be pressed together to make plywood for building. Recent disasters of Hurricane Hugo and the California earthquake have put plywood at a premium.
There's no secret that the disasters have caused an increased demand in panel products.
This mill is operating at 100% capacity to meet local as well as national demands.
Well, we found out we were shipping product in the Carolinas, and that's something we traditionally don't do. We're shipping it farther. The southern suppliers provided the immediate relief for Hugo, the mills that are operating in Georgia and the southern states. And when that demand was not met by the southern people, we stepped in and shipped some product down south.
2 weeks ago, prices were at $282 per 1,000 square feet of plywood. That's some $50 higher than previous months. Demands for panel products are so high in the Carolinas that this plant can't even begin to think about supplying California. For Boise Cascade, it means the best price levels in recent history. But for the local consumer builder, it means higher costs. One standard sheet of plywood alone has jumped $2 in price.
We got to pay for it. I mean, it's costing us money. That's what it's doing. It's costing them money, especially if they've already had their house sold and they're buying the material now and didn't buy it before the, before the disaster.
So now the question arises, is there in fact a less expensive alternative for the consumer builder?
People are looking for alternatives too, and they're not there either, because the OSB boards, which is an oriented strand board, the wafer boards, have also increased in price and stayed very steady with that.
Plywood inventories at Boise Cascade of Yakima are down from traditional levels. If this continues, consumers will have to pay a higher price for construction-grade plywood. In Yakima, I'm Mike Nordine, KAPP 35 News.
The price of wholesale plywood now stands at $250 per 1,000 square feet. That price is expected to drop with the onset of winter, when the demand on building supplies lessens.
Art Fletcher, who's one of the nation's top civil rights leaders, will spend this weekend here in Yakima in St. Elizabeth's Hospital. Fletcher had to be admitted this morning when he was suffering from chest pains. He suffered a heart attack 6 years ago, but doctors say he's doing pretty well tonight. Fletcher was forced to miss his speech before the Women and Minorities Small Business Conference today, but he did feel well enough to videotape a speech this afternoon, which will be aired tonight. Fletcher is President Bush's nominee to chair the Civil Rights Commission. He hoped to hear word on his confirmation during his trip to Yakima this week. A new beginning is the theme for that conference we just mentioned. It's Yakima's first ever Minority and Women Small Business Conference, and it's being held at the Town Plaza. The conference is sponsored by the U.S. Small Business Administration. Workshops were held to address how you start a business, banking loans, legal tips, and creative financing. The conference is the perfect opportunity to receive free training.
Properly in the coming years, it's not going to be because somebody isn't trying. It's because you're not getting out, you, the potential small business owner or business owner, to come out and receive the quality training that we're putting on.
The conference began at 7:45 this morning, and it will wrap up tonight at 7. Turnout for the conference was higher than anticipated, and the Small Business Administration is already looking forward to doing it again next year. Dave?
Tuesday's general election will bring new city leaders to Yakima. 3 out of the 4 council seats are up for grabs. With a 40% voter turnout expected for the odd-year nonpartisan election, some 24,000 residents will decide who guides the city into the 90s. Today, in the final segment of a 3-part series, KAPP 35's Paula Newton tells us that the race for position number